Buteo melanoleucus. Redirect here. This name is also the name that the black and white hawk eagle was first described under. See below for details. The black-chested buzzard eagle is a bird of prey of the hawk and eagle family. It lives in open regions of South America. This species is also known as the black buzzard eagle, gray buzzard eagle, or analogously with eagle or eagle buzzard, replacing buzzard eagle, or is the Chilean blue eagle. It is sometimes placed in the genus Buteo. Description: this is a huge eagle-like buzzard. It has a total length of 62 to 76 centimeters and a wingspan of 149 to 200 centimeters. In the nominate race, males average 2.13 kilograms and females average 2.75 kilograms, with a range between both of 1.67 to 3.17 kilograms. In the lineally slightly smaller G.M. australis subspecies, a male weighed 1.7 kilograms and a female weighed 3.2 kilograms, indicating the bulk of the two races is roughly the same. It is noted for its bulky, powerful-looking bill. It is rather long and broad-winged, and the slightly tapering tail is short by comparison and colored black, with gray tips in fresh plumage. When perched, the wings cover the tail almost completely, giving the bird a unique near-tailless appearance when perched. The adult has a white underside, sometimes with fine blackish stripes. Its upper parts are dark gray with a blackish, brownish or bluish hue. The feathers of the neck and the lowest dark feathers of the breast are somewhat elongated. Adults have an ash-gray and white zone on the wings, the silvery white seen clearly from afar. The female is distinguished by a reddish cinnamon hue to the upper and underwing secondaries and is considerably larger than the male. Amongst standard measurements, males possess a wing chord of 463 to 555 mm, a tail of 203 to 300 mm, a culmen of 29 to 45 mm, and a tarsus of 95 to 102 mm. In comparison, females have a wing chord of 490 to 566 mm, a tail of 220 to 310 mm, a culmen of 30 to 45 mm, and a tarsus of 89 to 110 mm. The immature plumage is reminiscent of that of the great black hawk. Its upper parts are deep brown, sometimes almost black, and it has no light wing patch. The underside is white or light buff with heavy dark streaks on the breast and dark bars on the belly and thighs. It does not acquire the full adult plumage until 4 to 5 years old. It is not very vocal, calling usually in flight and when close to the nest. Some calls resemble a wild human laugh, others are a carrier-like whistle. Occasionally flying birds give a high-pitched vocalization, coo-coo-coo-coo-coo. The black-chested buzzard eagle is readily identified in flight by its short wedge-shaped tail scarcely protruding from its long, broad wings. It is usually easy to make out the generally white underparts with the dark chest band and tail if the birds are adult. Yet as this bird is usually encountered in the wild when it soars, you are less likely to see its gray upper parts. Taxonomy and systematics. Its scientific name is Latinized Ancient Greek and means black and white craned eagle, or black and white buzzard. Geranoetus comes from Ancient Greek geranos, crane, plus etos, eagle. The crane reference is due to its gray upper wings and its loud cries. The alternative genus name Buteo is simply the Latin term used for these hawks in ancient Rome, translating as buzzard. Melanoleucus is from Ancient Greek meakeutelan, black, plus leuko is white. This refers to the contrasting coloration when seen from below. When the black-chested buzzard eagle was first described by Louis Jean-Pierre Vieillot in 1819, it was placed in the genus Spizitis, as Spizitis melanoleucus. Nowadays, however, the monotypic genus Spizastur is merged in Spizitis, and a black and white hawk eagle, originally described as by Vieillot 3 years earlier as Buteo melanoleucus, is now known as Spizitis melanoleucus. The earlier use of the specific epithet melanoleucus for the black and white hawk eagle technically precludes its use for the black-chested buzzard eagle, except when it is placed in Geranoides. In fact, in the mid-20th century, Buteo fuscescens was the prevailing name for the black-chested buzzard eagle for some years, but it was eventually dismissed as erroneous. This specific name was established as Spizitis fuscescens by Vieillot for the immature of the black-chested buzzard eagle at the very same time as he described the adult, because he could not believe that such differently colored birds were conspecific, as the two birds are not placed in the same genus today. Article 59.3 of the ICZN Code applies. According to this, a junior homonym replaced before 1961 is not rendered permanently invalid if the substitute name is not in use, which has been the case after Amadon's 1963 revision. Hence, in this case the scientific name Buteo melanoleucus can apply, even though the black and white hawk eagle was earlier described under exactly that name, while the senior homonym melanoleucus still applies to the latter species when placed in Spizitis according to the usual ICZN rules. Consequently, the proper name to use for each bird has, through a number of coincidences, become the one the other species was described under. Systematics. There are two subspecies: eastern black-chested buzzard eagle, Geranoides melanoleucus melanoleucus, Shea, South America from S and E Brazil through Paraguay, Uruguay, and near Argentina. Larger, plain white below. Western black-chested buzzard eagle, Geranoides melanoleucus, Australia swan, 1922 Andes from NW Venezuela through Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and W Argentina to Tierra del Fuego. Smaller, white with fine dark barring below. The black-chested buzzard eagle is allied to the Buteo hawks, and it is sometimes included with these. Other authors place it in the monotypic genus Geranoides, though the former seems to be more appropriate from a phylogenetic standpoint. The latter is still used here, as much more research into phylogeny and hybridization has to take place before the correct taxonomy of the buteonines can be resolved. It stands to note that the taxonomic and systematic dispute goes back to the early mid-20th century already. However, it seems there is no real reason to suppose that the lineage of the black-chested buzzard eagle is North American in origin. Fossils that might have been its ancestors at first sight differ in details and are more likely to belong to other buteonine lineages. Because of its buteonine lineage, this species and the closely related Harpy haleritis are not considered true eagles, as are Aquila eagles and hawk eagles, and are thus the largest extant type of the diverse buteonine lineage. This species could be close to the white-tailed hawk, and perhaps to the gray-backed, white, and mantled hawks which it resembles in habitus except for being larger. Its closest living relatives may well be the red-backed and Una hawks. Particularly some populations of the former look like small black-chested buzzard eagles. The barred hawk looks similar to the black-chested buzzard eagle in general color pattern, though the tail differs much in shape, size, and the bright white central band stands out. The relationship of the black-chested buzzard eagle to the prehistoric genera Titanohyrax racks from the Caribbean and the Pan American Ampler Buteo also warrant more study. The crab hawks and the solitary eagles seem to be allied with the latter, to the extent that these three genera might be united in Buteo gallus. The genus in the present restricted sense contains species also quite similar in habitus and size to the black-chested eagle buzzard. Fossil records. Some fossils have been placed in here.This, but those from North America have since been moved elsewhere. Here.This, ales A. contortus and G. conterminus are now in Buteo. Here.This, fragilis and A. Millery are now in Buteo gallus. The type specimens of the latter were at first erroneously believed to be of the black-chested eagle buzzard. Here.This granelli is now in Spizitus. Here.This dananus, originally described as Aquila danana, is of rather unclear affiliations but probably belongs to the same lineage as the above. Bones indistinguishable from those of living black-chested buzzard eagles were found in a spring deposit at the Baños de Ciego Montero in Cienfuegos province, Cuba. A partial left carpometacarpus specimen AMNHFR 6190 as well as a finger bone probably date from some time in the Pleistocene. During the last ice age, its contemporary close relatives on Cuba, as far as it is known, consisted of the gigantic eagle-like Buteonian hawks which were clearly distinct by size alone, while the Pleistocene record of similar-sized birds from continental North America is from the far west. Ecology. The black-chested buzzard eagle is found in mountainous or hilly terrain with sparse vegetation, shrub and anophagus forest, where it spends a lot of time soaring in thermals and vertical drafts while looking for prey. It requires large territories with suitable habitat, the paramos at the north of its range, for example, while providing the latter, fail to provide the former, and thus it has only been recorded in the largest patches of such habitat, such as Paramo de Frontino, most common between about 5,000 feet and 15,000 feet ASL. It rarely ventures into the lowlands. It is most conspicuous in the mid-morning and afternoon, when individuals will seek out places which provide the best soaring conditions, such as north and west-facing slopes and ridges. Apparently, the main interest at these times is aerial play and display. They tend to ignore places where food is more plentiful or easily hunted in favor of simply soaring alone or in pairs in strong air currents. The food of this carnivore consists mainly of mid-sized mammals. The introduced European rabbit seems to have become a key prey item. The black-chested buzzard eagle is helpful to farmers by keeping down the numbers of the rabbits, which can be serious agricultural pests. Among the native fauna, dagoos and hognose skunks are important prey, but mammals as formidable as a gray fox, 2 to over 3 times as heavy as the birds and certainly not defenseless, are occasionally hunted and killed by this hawk. Its diet is rounded off with an occasional bird, including carnivorous species like the burrowing owl and sizable prey such as Penelope guans or the Chilean tinamou, large squamates, and if need be also arthropods and carrion. While not aggressive under normal circumstances, the black-chested eagle buzzard will fiercely attack humans if it considers itself or its offspring threatened. It is near the top of the avian food chain in its range, in part since it is the only Andean eagle found outside forest habitats. It may compete for carrion with the much larger Andean condor. It nests in high trees or on rocky cliffs, or if these are not available, on high trees or even cacti. If no appropriate high place is available, this species will nest in bushes or even on the ground. In Ecuador, nesting can be observed all year round. Elsewhere it might have a more restricted breeding season, but information is scant and somewhat contradictory. The nest is a huge mass of sticks about 85 centimeters centimeters in diameter. The black-chested buzzard-eagle is just as likely to reuse an existing nest as to build a new one, and several abandoned nests are often found in the vicinity of an active one. The male and female engage in courtship flights and copulate over a prolonged time of several weeks as the pairs bond. Little is known of the actual nesting. The clutch contains usually but sometimes one of 3 eggs, which are incubated for about a month. The nestlings presumably are covered in white down like in its relatives. Owing the wide overall range, Geranoides melanoleucus is considered a species of least concern by the IUCN. While it is rare and declining in places, e.g., in Rio Grande do Sul and Santa Catarina states in Brazil, or in parts of Argentina, its habitat requirements mean that it will to some degree benefit from deforestation, and it has, for example, colonized regions of the former Mata Atlantica forest in Alagoas. The declines in Argentina have been attributed to poisoning by strychnine baits deployed by sheep farmers trying to eradicate pests.